Hold on, hold on. Can't stretch the scry any further.
Please use more frost magic.
That's as far as I can push the scry.
Oh, drat. Wait, no, thoughtless darm. I am delighted to see you up and about, Bryn.
Are you sure?
I am delighted to see you. And, as it turns out, Lane has just emptied my purse.
Never bet against the alchemist about recovery times.
Indeed. A lesson I have zero regrets about learning, for it means you are up sooner than I would have thought possible.
We clearly did something at the source. But was it enough?
To stabilize things? Oh, yes. What's become abundantly clear is that the source had been damaged, though we're not sure how. Perhaps a small surge that cascaded into the real surge? That's all in the past, though. The current flow of magic seems to be balanced such that the veil is consuming most of it.
That sounds good, right?
Oh, most definitely. It leaves us at an equilibrium. That is so much better than the alternatives.
What's going on with the veil?
It's not coming down anytime soon, but it no longer seems to be overcharged. In retrospect, it's possible the veil was the only thing that stopped the source from outright exploding.
How so?
Its activation pulled and continues to pull, mind you, an enormous amount of magic away from the source. That draw was enough to slow the rush of magic. It's possible the reason the veil went up so suddenly was as an emergency measure.
How's our little arc friend holding up?
So far, very well. It continues to pacify the raw magic coming from the source, and is self-sustaining as far as we can tell, thanks to your little push. Please don't do that again, by the way. Very dangerous, and we're all terribly fond of you.
How about the tapestry? No chance we've managed to remove all the tangles?
Alas, no. Not visibly, but I did hear the Axel talking about an effort to restore the tapestry. She dropped your name a few times. They'll make a statue of you someday. Well, unless her political machinations all fall apart. Fewer statues in that case, but that's for the politicians, yes?
So, what's next for us, do you think?
I have every plan to continue studying the source while I can. The Axel has given me special dispensation. She feels my presence somewhat tempers the ambitions of the High Enchanter. He seems rather keen on becoming the next Spindle, less so on securing a sustainable future for the Enclave. At the same time, I'm told the alchemists are making a hard push for their representative to take the position. Their political jockeying buys me time to poke and prod the Enclave's secrets. I have no complaints. Sola's been teasing me about it incessantly, of course, reminding me to take a breath of all things. Which reminds me, I do have some things to attend to, so I won't bend your ear unnecessarily. Here if you need me for anything, Bryn of Carnhaven.
Nice to work on something a little lighter every once in a while. Nice to work on something a little lighter every once in a while. If that doesn't keep you safe, I don't know what will. Not as protective, but great against the elements. Not as protective, but great against the elements.
Oh, Bryn! How did it go?
It worked amazingly. In fact, I was almost too cold.
I must have prepared it incorrectly. Perhaps too much stirring.
I'm kidding, Lane. It was perfect.
Your elevated wit eludes me once again.
If you two are done messing around, it's excellent to hear that the potions worked. Lane, what sort of quantities can we produce for the scouts?
As much as you need. It's not hard to make.
That's very good news. I wonder why the Eye never explored this as an option.
I would assume the reason sits somewhere between lack of care and gross negligence. Speaking of the Eye, Bryn, the Axel and I had a chance to sit and talk for a while. Would you believe that she isn't his biggest fan either?
There were some subtle context clues that tipped me off.
We were indeed not very cordial with each other at the best of times.
In particular, the way he kept secrets rubbed us both the wrong way. We found ourselves in agreement that any new government here should be built on a foundation of trust and respect.
A difficult foundation to build, but one that is worth the effort. Lane and I don't agree on everything, but it was good to sit and speak with someone who understands the nature of the work I'm doing.
It's not every day that one has the privilege of watching a new order emerge.
Perhaps you will be here to document it.
I should like that very much. The story of a new enclave should be made available to all. Every detail, out in the light. I'm struck with inspiration. I need to return to base camp and get started on my history. To be here as it's being written. To be the one writing it. Oh, what a privilege.
Oh, they're gone. Do they always do that?
Yes, that's a fairly frequent occurrence.
Well, with my mind at ease, for now, at least, I will thank you and bid you farewell. My list of petitions is smaller by one, at the moment.
We're here to help. Talk later. You're being unusually quiet. You can't talk. We didn't just cut off your ability to access the scry. The Ark of Verdance must have done something to you at the source. Huh. I wonder what this means.
It seems I owe you and Sebastian a word of thanks.
Unexpected, but you're welcome. What's happening?
Herun has seen fit to approve my involvement in the tapestry repair. As much as it is irksome to be assigned work, I will confess I was getting rather bored and lost in my own thoughts. Something to do will help, I'm sure.
Goodness, you're irrepressible. You've just been to the brink of death and back, but you're already back up and at it. You're allowed to take a break, you know.
I get bored easily. Much rather be out here getting things done.
Well, I'll say this. Your efforts haven't gone unnoticed. With the Ark of Verdance doing its work at the source, the raw magic is beginning to dissipate. In time, we'll be able to secure a workspace. Then, we can start repairing the tapestry. Everyone in the hold has begun to look to the future. Many never had a reason to. Children and adults alike, sensing the intoxicating allure of newborn hope.
I know what it's like to watch your people rebuild after dark times. It's hard, but beautiful too.
I've been asked by a citizen committee to establish our first new holiday in decades. Spindle's Day, they want to call it.
Ah. How do you feel about it?
I wish things were different. And I know she would have hated all the attention, but I think it's right.
She'd be really proud of you for stepping up.
I would hope so too. It is the least I can do to honor her memory, day by day. When we met, before your expedition to the source, I was ready to tell you that it was completely reckless. But when you ran through how everyone contributes to your success, that was the moment I knew we might have a chance. I wasn't quite as confident as you, but I at least felt something close to it.
And how about now?
I believe you can do anything you put your mind to. Anything else would be ignoring the incredible achievements of some truly unexpected guests.
I'll let them know you said that.
Please do. As always, I have a great deal on my plate to get back to. Promise me you'll take a break. If only to spend time with the people you care about.
I will. I found something that you might want to see. It's a letter I found in the Spindle's hideout. It looked like your handwriting. I didn't read it.
I don't understand why you've been so kind to us, Bryn.
It's okay. I'll let you get back to it, all right?
Likewise. You just couldn't take a break, could you? But no. Instead, you had to unearth a revelation so dangerous it could destabilize the entire Maida Basin.
Not my fault. Incredible discoveries just fall into my lap.
Right. I admire the work your band did on researching the Herald. Lane, in particular. Hold on tight to them. They're an extremely valuable resource.
Their contributions are tremendous. The alchemy alone. With that, plus the number of times their research has saved our hides, I don't think they could leave the Weaver Band even if they tried. We wouldn't let them.
You would be fools to do so. I wanted to mention, by the way, if you could pass this along. Lane's welcome to visit the Hold anytime. Open invite. I'll always appreciate hearing their thoughts.
I'll pass it along.
Now, I'd better get back to it. Paperwork won't do itself. As it turns out, I'm rather glad you tore down Asylum. I was not, at the time, but Arakim's come a long way since he started working with your band.
As have you. Politically.
I will admit I was complacent. Part of my decision to create the role of guide was to prevent that. I need someone who will push, and he will most certainly do that. His findings, though, are deeply concerning, along with the obvious failures of the tapestry exposed by Sev's research. But I see it as an opportunity. The tapestry needs to be repaired, and we have the means. Nothing catalyzes and unifies people like a problem they can actually solve.
Making you seem like a very effective leader.
Yes. Yes, it does. Quite the impressive investigation you and your Ram friend instigated. With those results, we could repair the tapestry and eventually reclaim the underworks. With the Surgeborn in obvious disarray, now is the time to move.
Happy to help.
I'll reach out to Sev myself and let him know how much I appreciate it, and his expertise. I'm encouraged by the research Sev's done on the tapestry. He has a quick mind.
The opportunity to prove himself outside of the Norians means a lot to him.
We're going to find out what he can do, with a team backing him up. It's key we repair the tapestry as quickly as possible. I shudder to think what might happen if the Ark of Verdance should fail.
A pleasant morning to you. What's on your mind?
I've got something that I'm struggling to believe.
Then it must be something rather special.
It's about something the Herald said when I fought it in the source. It said that it was from elsewhere. A place we wouldn't be able to understand. And the Herald claimed to be older than the Surge. Much older.
That is a fascinating assertion. And we've received reports of it reappearing after you defeated it.
Right. I heard that too. I would have mentioned this earlier, but with all the action and me almost dying...
Say no more. I do, however, think that Aurea and Darm need to hear about this too. Aurea? Darm? Would you mind coming over here?
You're looking uncharacteristically serious, Lane.
I'm looking normal, I think. But you are correct.
Bryn?
The Herald claimed to have existed for a long time before the Surge. And it said that at the heart of the source, there's a breach between worlds. That's where the Surgeborn came from.
I don't know how we'll tell everyone about this. Will they panic? Will they even believe us? Should we tell them at all?
Hold on, Lane. You're jumping to conclusions. It's possible that the Surgeborn was lying.
It's true. Even though it never technically lied to Bryn, it certainly enjoyed its little mind games.
I really don't think that's the case. It wanted Bryn to join it, and this would explain so much about the origin of the Surgeborn.
I believe the solution to our worries is, as always, more research. Bryn, since we've received reports of the Herald reappearing, would you mind hunting it down for us again? Specifically, to know for sure whether it is as otherworldly as it claimed to be, I will need you to harvest its pattern, as fresh as possible for me.
Absolutely. I've already killed this thing twice. A third time will be a piece of cake.
Splendid! Understanding the unknown kills any fear it may hold over us. Is this course of action acceptable to you two?
Yes. Sounds good to me. What do you think, Lane? Would that make you feel better?
I suppose that's a sensible way forward. Sorry, big revelation. I need to take some time to process this. Dom, will we analyze the resonance together? I need to prepare my workstation.
One step at a time, my friend.
Of course. The resonance, yes. Good luck, Bryn.
Don't need luck when I've got a team like you behind me. There's the herald. I know I can harvest its pattern. Just need to do it again. Good news. I harvested the Herald's pattern.
Splendid. If you'll let me handle the resonance. Dom, come and look at this. Bryn's brought back the Surgeborn resonance, and...
Fascinating. It really is like nothing I've laid hands on.
the Herald was telling the truth, then. About this, at least.
Walk me through it, team.
Dom, do you want to?
Yes. This is the second resonance I've had access to, and I didn't realize before, but it's clearly not of this world. It resembles nothing mentioned in any literature I've ever seen. The Hearthsiders' libraries have nothing about this, not even the Spindle's tomes. Exploring the possibility of other worlds could consume decades of a researcher's life, and they'd barely scratch the surface. It was a theoretical, primary theological pursuit before, but this strand changes everything.
So you're suggesting this is an entirely novel field of research?
That is precisely the fact of the matter, my curly-haired friend.
So, for those of us who aren't academics, what's the takeaway here?
Our understandings of the mechanisms of the universe will fundamentally shift as a result of this.
Great. Love that. Does that mean there could be more places like the Source?
Anything is possible. Though, the lack of Surgeborn outside of the Enclave suggests that wounds between worlds are extremely rare.
I see. And what about the resonance I brought back? Is that dangerous at all?
The resonance is self-healing, but beyond that, it seems that some other element dictates the Herald's regeneration. I would not be surprised if you saw it again, but without its connection to home, it will not be able to evolve or adapt.
So the resonance heals itself, but it won't turn into a Surgeborn on its own. Good.
There's something else to worry about. One large thing. What amount of this information are we comfortable sharing? And with whom?
I wish I could draw from weaving history to provide guidance, but something this big has never happened before.
The Axel has always appreciated our transparency. We should tell her first.
I would assume she's busy with her duties as interim leader, but on the other hand, I've no clue. Truly, my font of wisdom runs empty.
I think this one's big enough that we can bother her about it without feeling guilty.
You're right, of course. I'll meet you in Cassidon's hold. I just need to document this while it's fresh in my mind.
And I will continue experimenting. What a wonderful opportunity.
See you in the hold, Lane.
Good afternoon, Carnatame. Might we trouble you with some questions of a fairly important nature?
You're already here, so you may as well.
This is a pretty big one, for the record.
We have learned something astounding about the Surgeborn and the fundamental nature of the Source.
Something new?
Yes. When Bryn was engaged in combat down in the Source, the Herald spoke to her of its origins. It told her it hailed from another world, and at the Source is a celestial wound through which the Surgeborn found their way here.
We thought it might have been lying, trying to throw me off. But recently, we realized it's regenerated. So I killed it again. Took a resonance from its pattern to Lane and Dom, and
It was all true.
all of it.
Dom is very excited about the existence of other worlds and will continue researching. But it sits ill with me.
How so?
You and I spoke at length on how the truth, the whole truth, must be made available to all. But this isn't just some political secret. It changes our approach to everything. Religion, weaving, the way we place ourselves in the world.
I understand. I assume you've thought a great deal about this. Give me a risk assessment.
That's just the thing. Understanding more about the world, it's beautiful, wonderful. I have enough perspective, however, to know that the same may not be true for others, especially those who have lived here through the Surge. Would it bring peace to their hearts? Would this knowledge shared free to all improve their lives? I fear not. But perhaps I am the fool for thinking that I am wise enough to know what is best for others.
I see. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with me. First things first, we need to find out what Kenrick knew about this. Let's fetch him, shall we?
What do you want?
I was hoping to draw on some of your memories, if you wouldn't mind. It's in regards to a security matter.
If it's a security matter, then those two shouldn't be privy to it.
That's no longer your call. In the years where you held the Surgeborn Talon in custody, did it ever speak to you of its origins?
I will not incriminate myself.
I'm simply asking a question from someone who's in charge to someone who was in charge.
And you may simply ram that question up where the sun doesn't shine.
You're useless. You may leave.
I'm useless. I'm not the one chasing religious fairy tales about worlds beyond our own. Ridiculous.
So you knew, and kept it to yourself. That's more than enough from you.
I'll leave you to your hunt for a desert Akala, then.
Exhausting. I'm sorry about him, as always. Now, given the services you have rendered us, I believe you deserve a little trust. So I'll listen to what you think I should tell our people of the Herald and the worlds beyond ours and whatever else.
It's humbling to have earned such trust, and we won't squander it. Before I speak, do you have any thoughts on this, Bryn?
When I brought the resonance back to camp, Dom said that it meant the arrival of an entirely new field of research. The Enclave's researchers never got to properly understand the Surgeborn before the labs were overrun. I don't know. I think it would be a shame if Dom was the only person in the entire world to have that opportunity. Even though I know he'd do an amazing job, it would be sad to force him to work in secret for the rest of his life.
I don't think that'd be ideal, no. Lane, please regale us with your conclusions.
Bryn covered some of what I've been musing over, but for the sake of completeness, I'll recap it all with my own thoughts. 3 major facets of this problem loom in my mind. First, that of the research possibilities. Keeping this revelation under lock and key would obviously gatekeep untold numbers of discoveries. Second, that of those who adhere to the various religions around the Maida. I fear that disclosing the existence of other worlds to the public at large could upset a great many people at best, and trigger a holy war at worst. They have been waged on far smaller provocations than this. Finally, and most importantly, so many of the problems we've encountered here have been because people kept secrets. Whether they were forced to keep them or not, the existence of those secrets significantly hamstrung our efforts to learn about the Enclave. If I had any choice in the matter, I would change that status quo in a heartbeat.
Now is your chance. If you want to seize the moment, I will respect your choice.
The irony is that I find myself faltering on the precipice, because I've now been presented with truly dangerous knowledge. Before I entered the Enclave, before we undertook this wondrous journey, I would have been adamant that everyone know each intimate detail. But now, I believe we must find an acceptable truth to share. But not the whole truth.
What do you have in mind, then?
Subject to your approval, we start by telling your people the story of the Source, the entire truth, barring that of the breach. Then we tell the people that, as it stands right now, the monster they saw at the Grand Gate is eternal. But more importantly, we are working on ways to combat it. We keep its true origins close to our chest. Knowing how to contain the Surgeborn is much more important. For now, we tell part of the truth. We share select details and let the people weave their own interpretations. We control the narrative by allowing conflicting narratives to spread. And one day, the denizens of the Mire may be ready to know the full truth. Is that acceptable to you, Karnatame?
Yes, it is. And might I say, you would have made an amazing politician had you stayed in Judea.
That's kind of you to say. But I have too strong a moral core to do that kind of work.
Very understandable. It's not for everyone. Nevertheless, I will communicate our story to the public. Let's hope the ensuing chaos is limited. I'd like to build trust again.
It's the right thing to do.
Lane, Bryn, thank you for your time and assistance.
It has been our everlasting pleasure, Karnatame. As if a great weight has been lifted from my shoulders. When one begins to live their life beyond dusty old tomes, they must reckon with the complexities that are part and parcel of lived experience. Which is to say, you have truly been an agent of change in my life, Bryn. In wonderful ways, of course.
Well, you're not so bad yourself.
I try my best. But really, I feel good.
How are you feeling about your research as a whole?
Excellent. I'm going to chronicle everything. Even if some of it may not see the light of day for some time, I have faith that it will, someday. And when it does, it will be useful to those who need it.
And what about that? Keeping it under wraps, I mean.
I suppose I have learned a sense of nuance. In Judea, keeping secrets was like breathing, but almost every secret was trivial or petty at best. And, more importantly, kept as a means through which to exert power. That was Kenrick's approach too. Power through secrets. Whereas I would hope that my reasons to keep secrets are driven by a sense of care and kindness. Do you think so?
I do. And more importantly, I know you're the kind of person to seek outside accountability if you need it.
With you and everyone else at my back, my worries are now few and far between. All that remains is to continue my research. And I'll need you to keep bringing back items of interest, of course.
I won't stop looking for things to bring home. Don't you worry.
Then I won't keep you. Get adventuring.
going to need more feathers. Now that Casman's trading with the Halfsiders, Khan Arteme has reached out to ask if I would forge arms for the Scouts. They've been wearing leftover Ark armor all this time. Though I'll have support from the Enclave's smithing guild, it'll be a long project.
Sev won't be teaming up with you on this one.
The Axle has Sev working on the tapestry right now. Besides, I'm just happy to see he's found his calling.
I didn't think it was possible, but he stands a little taller these days.
Me working with the guild, Sev controlling the weather, you kicking major ass at the heart of the Enclave? Who would have thought we'd wind up here when we first passed through the Veil?
Not me. Part of me thought the Ark of the Stricken Earth was going to do me in.
You had to know you had a chance at winning. You've all come a long way.
Do you ever miss the days when the stakes of the band's adventures were a little lower?
Strangely, not at all. It's been quite the rush. Though, give us a few more scares like you did when the scry cut out, and I might change my mind.
Don't worry. I can go without defying death again for at least a little while.
Hey! You're up and about.
I am. And thank you for the visits.
I'm sure some would have said, leave her alone, she's recovering, but...
You knew I was going crazy just lying around.
Figured keeping your brain occupied with updates on how things are out there would help.
Also, therapeutic kisses.
Yes. I'm no alchemist, but those felt like a critical part of your recovery.
How have you and the other scouts been doing recently?
Exceptionally well. The Surgeborn are still out there, but they're... disoriented, scattered, something like that.
Just like the Talon. It went from taunting to growling.
Yeah, still dangerous, but it's like they're roaming aimlessly and only acting on instinct.
How are the people at Cassidon's Hold faring?
Everyone can feel it. Things are different. It's like a pressure we'd all got so used to is lifted.
Perhaps literally.
The raw magic, you mean? Hadn't thought of that, but you're probably right.
Tell me about you, Eric. This has been a lot.
Well, on the one hand, still getting used to the title, but it is coming in handy for throwing my political weight around. Hirun and I don't always see... eye to eye, but she's sharp and we work it out. We're hoping to lift the restrictions on the Scouts mingling with the larger Hold populace for one. Lots of happy families.
And on the other hand?
On the other, I've got you. Us. And that's really all that matters.
Oh.
Hey, you asked.
That all sounds positive. Any thoughts on where we go from here?
Well, first, I want you to know that I love you when I say this.
Okay.
You are not allowed to die or make me think you died anymore.
Oh, spirits. Yes, of course. I can work very hard on the staying alive front. Just for you.
All of us? Really? You didn't see the band's faces when the scry cut out. These people adore you. Anyway, beyond that, it's hard to say. I suppose we start to reclaim things. The Veil's not down, just stable. We work with that and see what other wild curves this place throws at us. And frankly, I don't think there's much the two of us together can't handle. I'm gonna risk bringing up the fact that we met because I was running surveillance on you by telling you that my first report was that the band's point seems tireless. As it turns out, I did not know the half of it.
You hold your own pretty well, too. For a guy stuck behind a scry half the time.
Not by choice.
How did you make Head Scout, anyway? You don't seem the type. Not that you're bad at it, just... inclination.
Not something I like to talk about much. Messy business. But I can tell you. My predecessor was involved in some kind of mission gone wrong, where most of his team were badly wounded. He was given a discharge, and I was as close to a successor as he had.
What were they doing that was so dangerous?
No one knew for years, and they wouldn't say. Especially the former head of the Scouts, who landed a cushy place high up the valley. But I went digging after Stanel's removal. Lots of secrets suddenly open if you're friends with the Axel and ask the right questions. And that mission had always sat odd with me. Sure enough, it was to capture a Surgeborn.
The Talon, then.
Yes. Under Stanel's direct order and supervision. He's good at overseeing disasters. Also, he could question it, form what he thought was a plan, and look like a hero. I'm more upset about that than I realized. Felt good to get it out to someone I can trust.
Not just trust, I hope.
Oh, much, much more than that. Speaking of, catch you later? If you're not too tired.
You know me. Tireless.